I'm going to ask you regarding the ecosystem, Carrie, a good nurturing ecosystem, all right, that it's encouraging innovation and disruption. What type of factors and the features this type of ecosystem, let's say Silicon Valley, or even in Toronto itself, that we have a lot of tech companies by itself, but in general, how we can, for different type of businesses, right, tech, non-tech, what are the main features of the good, nurturing, encouraging ecosystem to promoting innovation and disruption?
The number one thing, in my view, is the ability to fail. Because if people don't have the ability to fail, it's called, sorry, I remember what enterprise is, a bold and courageous undertaking.
Bold, courageous risk-taking.
A bold and courageous undertaking. Then, because courageous means risk, right? If you look at bold and courageous, then you see exactly what the ingredients are. Boldness can be defined in many, many different ways. Courage is clearly something that we know what it means. Now, back to the ability to create an ecosystem for innovation. In other words, an ecology for innovation. It needs a couple of things. It needs tools, it needs methods, it needs measurements, and it needs the freedom to manipulate them according to every single day's results. In other words, be able to leverage day by day where you are that day. It's very much, if you can think of the idea of action research, or action research, which means research that continues based on what you discover, very much like surfing. So if you are surfing on a surfboard, you go with a surf. That's what an ecosystem of innovation is. It's a place that allows you to develop your own methodology in your own time with your own failure risk and failure factors, allows you to understand that there is no plan, allows you to understand there is no question but what if. That kind of question is eliminated because the freedom to fail excludes the question what if. There is no, at least for that moment, right? For the moment in which you are trying to leverage stuff.
But that's the thing we can see, for example, incubators and accelerators, they are just taking care of that around the world.
In typical incubators, you don't see it because they are still measuring it with the old measurement of, is it competitive? Okay. Does it have a market? But if you look at the work of, for example, the Moonshot Factory at Google, then you will see how that environment works. That is probably the best example. The Moonshot Factory is the best example of a place in which people just innovate outcomes because they are free to design their own systems. And they are free to create their own failure, their own success stories, their own failure. They are rewarding themselves with failures. And I don't want to harp on the word failure because failure means I'm trying to reach the moon and I'm failing. But I'm creating technology in the course of trying to reach the moon. Right? Exactly. That's what the moonshot is all about.